I like to think of myself as a patriotic Liberian because I love Liberia. I love this country. I love its people. That is why I am making a video like this. Liberia is a really, really beautiful country with its own challenges. Obviously, like any other country. I am making this video because I don't want you to visit Liberia and expect to see America or expect to see Australia or UK or something like that. No. When you're visiting Liberia, I want you to know that there are hard times in Liberia and there are struggles in Liberia, things that you have to adjust to, things that you're probably not used to, especially if you left Liberia during the Civil War, or if you've never been to Liberia but your family are from Liberia and you're thinking of visiting, or you're thinking of trying to settle back in Liberia. I mean, these days with all that is happening in the Western world with the black race, people are trying to come back to Africa, and that is great news. But when you're coming back to Liberia, when you're trying to make that decision with your family and your friends, you should understand that you have to be willing to adjust to a lot of things. So if you want to know those things, just subscribe to this channel, click on the notifications bell, and watch this video to the end. Okay guys, so today I am going to give you 5 ugly truths about Liberia, or just 5 honest truths about Liberia that you need to know. So the first on my list is bribery. Bribery in Liberia has become so rampant. Everywhere you go, there's a way to bribe someone. In school, at work, police station, hospitals, just everywhere you can bribe someone in Liberia. And often they are hard on you if you choose to follow the rules, if you act like you're so righteous, if you try to do the right thing, if you try to follow the book, you try to follow the rules. They call you a know-it-all. They're like, oh, you're a know-it-all and you're acting like you're better than us, you're trying to speak morals and blah blah blah. But one thing that I have learned about bribery in Liberia is the fact that most of the people who are taking bribes are not paid well. And well, I'm not talking about government officials, obviously, because taking bribes is like their normal thing. It's like what they're even working for. Yeah, I said that. Okay, but when it comes to police officers, when it comes to instructors, a lot of people are not being paid on time. And because they're not being paid on time, they have families to think of. They have people they're sending to school. They have people they're feeding. They have people they're sending to hospitals. And they have a lot of responsibilities. So you're on the road, you're a police officer, you see the keke may well give small thing, you just shallow, you don't follow the rule, anything, you allow him to go with it because he gave you money. And sometimes in a day or in a week, they get more money than they're paid. They get more money than what people are paying them at the end of the month. Money that doesn't even come on time. So until people really focus on paying above the starting point in Liberia and actually paying on time, bribery is going to be here for a long time. So if you're coming to Liberia, these are things you have to be prepared for. Because even when you try to be all right and say, oh, I am going to report you to your superior, you find out that the superior is even worse than the subordinate. So these are things you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about visiting Liberia or when you're thinking about moving back to Liberia. It's hard to adjust, but it's easier. And I know we like to preach about morals and being right, but I have learned not to talk about morals too much because some of the things people are going through, they really need to break the rules a little. It is not right, but what is happening to them is not right also, and there is no system in place that can actually help them. So if you're going to preach morals to them, do you have a system in place, or do you have alternatives? Do you have ways that they can actually get their money on time? If not, get to your small team and Gary. Cool? Right. That is the first thing off the list. Bribery. The second thing on my list is safety. So if you're visiting Liberia, a lot of people are worried about safety. When you go online and you type in Liberia, you see the civil war, you see protests, you see violence. So one of the most searched questions on the internet is Liberia safe to visit? Is Liberia safe to visit? I wouldn't know now, would I? Well, I do. Liberia is safe to visit based on the way you plan to visit. Like every other country, Liberia has its own rate of violence. And people steal, people arm rob, people arm rob you at night, in the day, they steal from you. And it's dangerous. But it depends on how you're planning to come to Liberia. If you don't have families here, the tour guide, so whosoever you're booking your trip with has to be someone who is knowledgeable, has to be someone who knows about Liberia, who can really give you the ins and outs of being in Liberia. And one thing I can say, when you're in Liberia and you're on the traffic, when you're on bike, using keke, don't use your phones. I still use my phones because sometimes I have to record. But it's really not safe. Sometimes people just jack your phones, and most of the time they jack your phones. Sometimes they leave you hurt while checking your phones, especially if you put up resistance. Like a few nights ago actually, a guy, it was rainy because it's rainy season in Liberia right now. He decided to jack someone's phone. The road was slippery, so when he jacked her phone, he fell down from the bike. His friends left him behind, and mob violence took place. An angry crowd killed him. It is sad, but they do a lot of worse things to people. So just be careful how you walk. Be careful where you go, what time, who you're going with. And don't be too trustful. Don't just look at someone and be like, oh, I trust you. No, don't do that. Great? Great. Now let us move on to the next step. So the next step has to do with education in Liberia. I am attending the African Methodist Episcopal University, and it hasn't been easy. I love the school, I do. I love the people, I love the mass communications department, but there are certain things that pisses me off. There are certain things that pisses everyone off, and you're like, I just don't want to be here anymore. I just want to get out of this school and be over it. But those are things that you can manage. Those are things that you can learn to work with. Those are things that you can learn to, just coexist with. But there's this thing going on right now with the state-run University of Liberia. Students have been out of school for 6 months. 6 months. They were supposed to open June this, June that. Now they're saying June 27th. And we don't know how true that is, because the other date they postponed it to June 27th. And they're talking about teachers teaching at different universities. So they're not there on time to teach students at the University of Liberia. And it goes right back to not being paid on time. A lot of people doing government jobs are not paid on time. Mainly teachers. And teachers should really be respected in this country, because they shape how we think, they shape our views of life, and they shape everything. So when we go in school and we're living, we're supposed to be living better. We're not supposed to be living with empty knowledge because our instructors had to multitask, because they have families to feed, they have families to send to schools, they have families to send to hospitals, so they need to make more money. And they have to multitask at different schools, different universities in Liberia in order to do that. So teachers need to be paid accordingly. And when it comes to the educational sector in Liberia, I think things are going up. But some schools are treating students, university students, as if we're, kids. They are just so unreasonable They expect you to do this. They expect you to just leave your business schedule. Like when they're having like field trips and stuff like that, they don't care if you have another class or anything. They're just going to pull you out of that class and you have to go. And you just miss another class, you get absent for that class, and that's it. Your grade is being affected and they don't care. See? This sector, it still needs to be worked on. And the main reason why I chose to talk about this being a part of some of the ugly truths about Liberia was because I really want to shine a light on what is happening at UL. A lot of people have dreams, they have hopes, they have scholarships they want to apply to, they have plans, they want to graduate before 2023, they want to graduate before 2024, and UL keeps delaying them, and it's so unfair. So if the government cannot continue their free education that they started, they should just ask students to continue paying their fees, because now it's like there's absolutely nothing going on for these students. And when students try to protest, they're going to say University of Liberia students are very rude, disgruntled, and blah blah blah. But the government is not giving them a choice. If I were in UL, I would have led a protest by now. Yes. So the fourth thing on this list is bad roads. Yes. If you're coming to Liberia, or if you want to visit or you want to resettle, there is absolutely no way of saying this, but President Weah said he called himself bad road medicine, but we still have a lot of bad roads in Liberia. I think you saw the shots that I posted of Dixville Road, so we have to use Bonnersville side instead of using Dixville Junction, which is easier and shorter for most people who are going to school and work. Well, we just can't do it, right? So it's really hard on students, it's really hard on people who are working, it's hard on people who are selling. A lot of roads are damaged in Liberia. They're just hard to deal with. Even in the city, even in Monrovia, in places you wouldn't expect bad roads to be, there are bad roads. So before you think about the counties just think about Monrovia, think about Montserrat. Before you think about places like Bomi County, Buchanan, blah blah blah, think about Montserrat and see the fact that even in Caldwell, Bourgeois Island, we have a lot of bad roads. When you're going Bonnersville, bad road, even in town, So I think bad roads, this is something you need to be aware of, so so you're not shocked. Because I think a lot of people, when they're showing videos of Liberia, they show videos of good roads. I am one of those people, but I think you need to know that there are bad roads in Liberia. So if you're coming back here, at least I am telling you now, so you're aware and you're prepared. Now the fifth thing on my list is electricity. I am not kidding you. But when you come to Liberia, you don't have to get on a plane to come to Liberia, right? Just go on Facebook and type in LEC. Every community in Liberia has a problem with LEC. I mean, sometimes you come home and you want to work, but you can't work because there's no current. You have to go to school with your clothes rumpled because there is no current to press. You have to go on campus to finish an assignment because your computer was off due to lack of current. One thing that is really, really, really tough dealing with in Liberia is electricity. It is tough. It is really tough. And I'm mainly saying this for people who are in Europe or well-developed countries. Like, these are basic things, right? So if you're living somewhere like that where you have electricity 24 hours and you're coming to Liberia, just know that you're going to have LEC today and you might not have it tomorrow. And yeah, sometimes it's good for a week. Like now, this week, it has been good. But you can't really praise LEC. So I decided to add it to one of the ugly truths about Liberia. So yes, LEC... electricity in Liberia is not one of the best things that we can boast of. And that's on point. And that's on period. I mean, you ask any Liberian in Liberia right now who is using LEC, you won't get good reviews. So I'm not going to lie to you. LEC needs to do better. We can do better and we can be better. Liberia is amazing. And yes, I know some countries deal with these things too, but it's really, really hard in Liberia. So we can do better and we have to do better for generations to come. Liberia is not a bad country. Liberians are amazing people. And we can do better with collective efforts. So we need you all to come back, adjust to things, and let us build Liberia together. So thank you all so much for watching this video. If you're new to this channel, know that I don't hate Liberia. I am a Liberian who loves our country, but I am just being honest right now. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and click on the like button. Share with your family and friends, especially those who are thinking of moving back to Liberia or just visiting for a while. Love you all. Bye bye.